this is Lizzy, and today I have a colorful birthday card to share with you. I used the super adorable Party Animals stamp set as well as a few of my favorite standalone die sets. The Party Balloon dies, the Happy Birthday border die, and of course none of my cards could be complete without using the new stitched rectangle dies. So I've just taken a piece of white cardstock and I'm using a couple of Lawn Fawn ink colors. The fake tan, the yellow color, this blue color, and the wild rose color. And I'm just inking it on because I'll be using this sheet to die cut the balloons from. So I'm sort of making a little bit of a gradient, so it's a little bit darker where I first inked on the ink, and then it gets a little bit lighter. And then I will be positioning my die cut balloons onto the colors that I want them to be cut, and then I'll have the right side a little bit in the darker section and the left side a little bit in the lighter section. This will just help to give the balloons a little bit of dimension. So I've taken it and I've run it through my die cutting machine, and you can see that one side of the balloons is a little bit darker and the other side is a little bit lighter. Just to further emphasize the dimension, I'm just going to take again the same colors of ink and then apply a little bit heavier ink onto the right side of the balloon, just again to give it a little bit more dimension. And it's nice having a slick surface like a craft mat, so the ink really slides onto the paper, helps avoid some of those streaks or lines that you can get from the brush tool. So I'll just take my last balloon with that fake tan color and apply that on the right side of the balloon. And then you can see all the balloons together. How there's a nice gradient of color and it really gives them a lot of dimension. So there you go. So now for the next portion of the card, I will be doing some Copic coloring. I'm going to be stamping some of the images with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. I did that off camera. And then I'll be using some Copic markers to color in the images. So I picked some colors that sort of coordinated with the ink colors, and I've listed them above in case you're interested. And I'm sort of coloring them so that the light source is coming from the left side, so making it a little bit darker on the right and a little bit lighter on the left, similar to how we just inked up the balloons. So I'm just coloring like I normally would. I usually lay the lightest color down just to wet the paper so to get the ink moving, and then apply the darkest color and then go over that again with the lightest color. I'm only using 2 shades to color in these small little images just because, again, they're sort of small. And then I have chosen some browns that I thought would coordinate with the lighter sort of pastel colors of the card. And I'll just be coloring in this super adorable reindeer. I think it's my favorite image out of the whole stamp set. And again, just applying that light ink, going over it with a darker color, and then or going over the sides with the darker color, and then shading it all in with the lighter to blend everything. So for the darker color brown, I'm actually applying the darkest color first around the edges, or where I think maybe the darker spots would be, and then I'm going back in with a lighter colored ink. And sometimes I color this way just so the image doesn't get too dark. Sometimes if you apply that color down first and then apply the darker color and go back over it again with the lighter color, it really makes the image a little bit darker. So I was just going for a little bit lighter look. But again, you just kind of shade how you like. There's really no rules to this, and it's whatever you think looks good. So just to finish up the coloring, I'm using a W marker to color in the hooves, and then some R20, which is a nice blush color for the cheeks and the ears. So I've done a lot of die cutting off camera. I die cut all those critters that we just colored in, and then I used 2 of the stitched rectangle dies to die cut a piece of that striped hippo colored pattern paper, and then a piece of sort of that pink blush color cardstock. So now I have a piece of light gray cardstock, and I'm using the Happy Birthday border die to cut that out. And I just really want the bottom portion of that Happy Birthday, because I'm just going to be using the negative space for the gray cardstock, and then I've gone ahead and cut the whole thing out of some yellow pattern paper. And you can see that Happy Birthday nestles right into that gray cardstock, which I will use as my sentiment and the border of the card to ground the images. So I'm just going to nestle that or cut that gray cardstock out of that same size stitched rectangle die, just so that the stitching lines are continuous along the bottom of the card. So now I have all the pieces of the card, and I can start working on my layout. You can see that the ground portion of the card is all die cut, and I will be cutting off the to you portion of that Happy Birthday sentiment so that the sentiment just reads Happy Birthday, and it fits perfectly along that stitched rectangle die. And then I can go ahead and position the critters and the balloons sort of how I think they might look nice. So as part of that party balloon stamp set, it also includes some of those white, or I guess it could be any color you wanted, but I die cut them out of white, the shine marks. And then I also die cut some of the balloon strings out of some white cardstock, and I'll position those onto the card how I think they might all sort of look nice. And so now that I have an idea of how the layout will be, I will go ahead and adhere everything, and I'm going to skip over that part because it was a little bit tedious and time consuming, but I used a combination of just some liquid glue and then some foam adhesive to adhere everything down. And just as a little finishing touch, I've used some of this pink lemonade lawn trimmings. It's really my favorite color. It's sort of that orange to pink ombre color. And then I will just tie a knot onto the side of the card just to give it just a little bit of extra color and interest. And to finish off the card, I'm using some clear Wink of Stella pen to apply some of that clear glitter onto the party hats, just to finish off the card. And then there you have it. That's the finished card. I hope you enjoyed this video on making this colorful happy birthday card. You can sort of see the shine from the party hats. It's a little hard to capture on camera, but I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.